Well, it looks like the NDP and the Bloc don't really want to show up to keep the government to account. They like what they're doing, apparently. But this is what happened in the House.
This
Bad
House
news.
that has been called the cathedral of our democracy by many outgoing members, current members in the past. And perhaps in this time that's maybe more ephemeral, maybe people think about it as, that's just, it's a nice sharing of the words, but democracy is an essential service. And our democracy functions here. And I was looking through what other countries have been doing. Japan, Italy, France, Germany, Greece, Sweden, Finland, and the European Union Parliament are meeting on a limited basis. We were accused on this side of wanting 338 members of Parliament here. And Mr. Speaker, you can see that is absolutely not the case.
So they're going to meet. But if you've watched any of these committee meetings, and I doubt anyone has because they're horrible, the quality is awful, the sound, everything, and there's no accountability to them. It's all a kind of a wing-a-wacka, wing-a-wacka, wing-a-wacka. Anyway, here we watch this one.
Poses a profound security threat to Canada. For that reason, Canada's intelligence community has been deeply engaged in informing the government's actions. That is why, in January, the Incident Response Group was convened by the Prime Minister, where briefings were shared and discussed. Thank you.
Member for Barrie Innisfil.
Well, once again, Mr. Speaker, in early January, MEDINT, the cell of our country's military intelligence branch, began producing those detailed warnings. On January 30th, the WHO declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. In the backdrop of these two warnings, our government shipped 16 tons of personal protective equipment to China in February and left Canada scrambling to find supplies to protect our frontline healthcare workers. Did the Minister of Health know about the DND report, and did she receive a briefing note from the Privy Council office on it?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, in a global pandemic, the principle is that all countries work together to defeat the virus where it is most present. In January, the outbreak in Wuhan, China was posing a significant public health threat to the entire world. As such, and as a partner country with the WHO, Canada supplied some personal protective equipment that was rapidly becoming out of date to Canada, and that could certainly be used in Wuhan's efforts to fight the virus there.
Just again, they're not really. I don't think the Liberals are really answering the questions. They always tiptoe around it and just nice words.
Will this
and
government
Watch
implement an emergency guaranteed livable income so that no Canadian is left behind in this COVID-19 crisis? My inbox is full of messages from constituents who are not eligible for the programs that have been put out. So students who are not eligible for these programs, seniors and people on disability who are dealing with a spike in the increase of the cost of living, small business startups that aren't eligible for any of the business programs, farmers that aren't eligible for any of these programs, some restaurants have just started up that aren't eligible. I've got people who were on sick leave last year who are not eligible for this program because they weren't working, they didn't earn their $5,000. I have a lot of people that need help, and I'm wondering, when is the government going to help with just a flat guaranteed livable income to help all the Canadians affected by this?
Families.
Thank the honourable member for the really important question. The fact of the matter is, yes, a lot of Canadian families, workers and students are facing difficult times in the context of COVID-19, but our government is steadfast to make sure that we deliver help to everyone who needs help in the context of COVID-19, whether it is the Canada Emergency Response Benefit that will enable many, many workers who have lost their jobs or who have been laid off as a result of COVID-19 to get the help that they need, but also the wage subsidy, which will help many, many businesses to keep and rehire laid off staff, as well as help that we've already delivered for students, but also more that we can do to fill the gaps that are necessary.
And that's all for question period for today. C'est tout pour les questions orales. Today, we grieve with the people of Portapique and Nova Scotia, and with the families of those who lost their lives so tragically through an act of senseless violence.
Well, that's the Parliament. They're not going to set to meet until a few more days. We'll find the schedule out later, but stay tuned. Leave your comments. I think they should be meeting. It shouldn't be that hard. It's not like rocket science. Have a good day.